Hey everybody, we are going to do the April 15th daily Bible reading, and we'll be starting out in Joshua chapter 19 verse 1. The second lot came out for Simeon, for the tribe of the children of Simeon according to their families, and their inheritance was within the inheritance of the children of Judah. They had in their inheritance Beersheba, Sheba, Moladah, Hazar Shual, Bala, Ezem, Eltolad, Bethel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hazar Susa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sharuhen, 13 cities and their villages, Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 cities and their villages, and all the villages that were all around these cities as far as Baalath, Beer, Ramah of the south. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Simeon according to their families. The inheritance of the children of Simeon was included in the share of the children of Judah, for the share of the children of Judah was too much for them. Therefore the children of Simeon had their inheritance within the inheritance of that people. The third lot came out for the children of Zebulun according to their families, and the border of their inheritance was as far as Sarid. Their border went toward the west, and to Maralah, went to Dabasheth, and extended along the brook that is east of Jokneam. Then from Sarid it went eastward toward the sunrise along the border of Chisloth Tabor, and went out toward Deberath, bypassing Japhia. And from there it passed along on the east of Gath Hepher toward Eth-Kazin, and extended to Rimmon, which borders on Neah. Then the border went around it on the north side of Hanathon, and it ended in the valley of Jephthah-El. Included were Katath, Nahalal, Shimron, Adalah, and Bethlehem, 12 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the children of Zebulun according to their families, these cities with their villages. The fourth lot came out to Issachar, for the children of Issachar according to their families, and their territory went to Jezreel, and included Chesulloth, Shunem, Hephraim, Shion, Anaheroth, Rabeth, Kishion, Abez, Remeth, En-Ganim, En-Haddah, and Beth-Pezez. And the border reached to Tabor, Shahazimah, and Beth-Shemesh. Their border ended at the Jordan, 16 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Issachar, according to their families, the cities, and their villages. The fifth lot came out for the tribe of the children of Asher, according to their families, and their territory included Helkath, Hali, Beton, Akshaph, Elamelech, Amad, and Mishal. It reached to Mount Carmel westward along the brook Shihor-Libnath. It turned toward the sunrise to Beth Dagon, and it reached to Zebulun and to the valley of Jephthah-El. Then northward beyond Beth Emek and Neiel, bypassing Kabul, which was on the left, including Ebron, Rehob, Hammon, and Cana as far as Greater Sidon. And the border turned to Ramah and to the fortified city of Tyre. Then the border turned to Hosah and ended at the sea by the region of Akzib. Also Ummah, Aphek, and Rehob were included, 22 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Asher, according to their families, these cities with their villages. The sixth lot came out to the children of Naphtali, for the children of Naphtali according to their families, and their border began at Heleph, enclosing the territory from the terebinth tree in Zaananim, Adami, Nekab, and Jabneel, as far as Lachum. It ended at the Jordan. From Heleph the border extended westward to Aznoth Tabor, and went out from there toward Hukok. It adjoined Zebulun on the south side and Asher on the west side, and ended at Judah by the Jordan toward the sunrise. And the fortified cities are Zedom, Zer, Hamath, Raketh, Chinnereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kadesh, Edrei, En Hazor, Iron, Migdal, El-Horom, Beth-Anath, and Beth-Shemesh, 19 cities with their villages. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Naphtali according to their families, the cities and their villages. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of the children of Dan according to their families, and the territory of their inheritance was Zorah, Eshtaol, Ir-Shemesh, Sha'alaban, Ajalon, Jethlah, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Eltekah, Gibbethon, Baalath, Jehud, Benaberek, Gath-Rimmon, Mejarkon, and Rakkon, with the region near Joppa. And the border of the children of Dan went beyond these, because the children of Dan went up to fight against Leshem and took it. And they struck it with the edge of the sword, took possession of it, and dwelt in it. They called Leshem Dan, after the name of Dan, their father. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Dan, according to their families, these cities with their villages. When they had made an end of dividing the land as an inheritance according to their borders, the children of Israel gave an inheritance among them to Joshua the son of Nun. According to the word of the Lord, they gave him the city which he asked for, Timnath-Serah, in the mountains of Ephraim, and he built the city and dwelt in it. These were the inheritances which Eleazar the priest, Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel divided as an inheritance by lot in Shiloh before the Lord, at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. So they made an end of dividing the country. Chapter 20. The Lord also spoke to Joshua, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Appoint for yourselves cities of refuge, of which I spoke to you through Moses, that the slayer who kills a person accidentally or unintentionally may flee there, and they shall be your refuge from the avenger of blood. And when he flees to one of those cities, and stands at the entrance of the gate of the city, and declares his case in the hearing of the elders of that city, they shall take him into the city as one of them, and give him a place that he may dwell among them. Then if the avenger of blood pursues him, they shall not deliver the slayer into his hand, because he struck his neighbor unintentionally, but did not hate him beforehand. And he shall dwell in that city until he stands before the congregation for judgment, and until the death of the one who is high priest in those days. Then the slayer may return and come to his own city and his own house, to the city from which he fled. Cities of refuge. Moses had spoken God's word to name 6 cities in Israel as refuge centers. A person who inadvertently killed another could flee to the nearest of these for protection. 3 lay west of the Jordan, and 3 lay to the east, each reachable in a day for those in its area. The slayer could flee there to escape pursuit by a family member seeking to exact private justice. Authorities at the refuge protected him and escorted him to a trial. If found innocent, he was guarded at the refuge until the death of the current high priest, a kind of statute of limitations. He could then return home. If found guilty of murder, he suffered due punishment. Verse 7. So they appointed Kadesh in Galilee in the mountains of Naphtali, Shechem in the mountains of Ephraim, and Kirjath Arba, which is Hebron, in the mountains of Judah. And on the other side of the Jordan, by Jericho eastward, they assigned Bezer in the wilderness on the plain from the tribe of Reuben, Ramoth in Gilead from the tribe of Gad, and Golan in Bashan from the tribe of Manasseh. These were the cities appointed for all the children of Israel and for the stranger who dwelt among them, that whoever killed a person accidentally might flee there and not die by the hand of the avenger of blood until he stood before the congregation. Psalm 46, verses 1 through 6. To the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah, a song for Alamoth. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear. Even though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with swelling, there is a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her just at the break of dawn. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. Proverbs 14, 7-11. Go from the presence of a foolish man, when you do not perceive in him the lips of knowledge. The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. Fools mock at sin, but among the upright there is favor. The heart knows its own bitterness, and a stranger does not share its joy. The house of the wicked will be overthrown, but the tent of the upright will flourish. At its depth, suffering and rejoicing are personal and private. No one is able to communicate them fully. Luke chapter 12, beginning in verse 32. Do not fear, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell what you have and give alms. Provide yourselves money bags which do not grow old, a treasure in the heavens that does not fail, where no thief approaches nor moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Sell what you have and give alms. Those who amassed earthly possessions, falsely thinking their security lay in material resources, needed to lay up treasure in heaven instead. Believers in the early church did sell their goods to meet the basic needs of poorer brethren. But this commandment is not to be twisted into an absolute prohibition of all earthly possessions. In fact, Peter's words to Ananias in Acts 5:4 make it clear that the selling of one's possessions was optional. Money bags which do not grow old. These purses that do not wear out, so as to lose the money, are defined as treasure in the heavens that does not fail. The surest place to put one's money is in such a purse in heaven, where it is safe from thieves and decay as well. Your heart will be also. Where one puts his money reveals the priorities of his heart. Verse 35. Let your waist be girded and your lamps burning, and you yourselves be like men who wait for their master, when he will return from the wedding, that when he comes and knocks, they may open to him immediately. Blessed are those servants whom the master, when he comes, will find watching. Assuredly, I say to you that he will gird himself and have them sit down to eat, and will come and serve them. And if he should come in the second watch or come in the third watch and find them so, blessed are those servants. But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. Then Peter said to him, Lord, do you speak this parable only to us or to all people? And the Lord said, Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his master will make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of food in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master will find so doing when he comes. Truly, I say to you that he will make him ruler over all that he has. But if that servant says in his heart, My master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat the male and female servants, and to eat and drink and be drunk, the master of that servant will come on a day when he is not looking for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in two, and appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. And that servant who knew his master's will, and did not prepare himself, or do according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he who did not know, yet committed things deserving of stripes, shall be beaten with few. For everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required. And to whom much has been committed, of him they will ask the more. I came to send fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how distressed I am till it is accomplished. Do you suppose that I came to give peace on earth? I tell you, not at all, but rather division. For from now on 5 in one house will be divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. Father will be divided against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Then he also said to the multitudes, whenever you see a cloud rising out of the west, immediately you say a shower is coming, and so it is. And when you see the south wind blow, you say there will be hot weather, and there is. Hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it you do not discern this time? Yes, and why, even of yourselves, do you not judge what is right? When you go with your adversary to the magistrate, make every effort along the way to settle with him, lest he drag you to the judge deliver you to the officer, and the officer throw you into prison. I tell you, you shall not depart from there till you have paid the very last mite. So day 15, where can we find stability in troubled times? Psalm 46 was the scriptural catalyst for Martin Luther's great hymn, A Mighty Fortress is Our God. This psalm extols the adequacy of God in facing threats from nature and the nations. God indeed protects his people upon the earth. The major burden of Psalm 46 is that God provides stability for his people who live in 2 exceedingly unstable environments. Specifically, even though the earth be removed, when earth changes and when the mountains move or shake or totter or slip. These are poetic allusions to earthquakes, since the earth and mountains are regarded by men as symbols of stability. When they dance, great terror normally ensues. But when the most stable becomes unstable, there should be no fear because of the transcendent stability of God. And though its waters roar, this is an illustration of powerfully surging and potentially destructive floods of waters. These will not erode God's protective fortifications. There is a river whose streams shall make glad the city of God. Refreshing waters contrast with those threatening torrents of verse 3. See the Garden of Paradise concept often mentioned in ancient Near Eastern literature. But most importantly, see the biblical revelation, noting especially the bookends of Genesis 2:10 and Revelation 22:1 and 2. She shall not be moved. These verses pick up some of the key terms about moving, slipping, tottering, sliding, and roaring from verses 1 through 3. However, here, because the presence of God, the forces of nature, and the nations are no longer a threat to the people of God who dwell with him. That concludes the April 15th Daily Bible Reading.